Today we're going to be testing out the effectiveness of ported barrels and compensators on handguns compared to the OEM barrel. All the ammo for today has been provided by Francis Manufacturing Defense. Check them out on Instagram and reach out to them for any FFL needs that you guys have. We will be observing the muzzle flip or the rotation of the muzzle under recoil, and we will also be looking at muzzle rise or how much the gun lifts from the position at which it was fired from. To help us with this, we'll be using lines drawn through the center of the barrel when fired and at the apex of the recoil. First up is going to be the Glock 19 in the OEM configuration, followed by a ported setup, and finally a compensated setup. Each barrel type is going to be color-coded. OEM is red, ported is yellow, and compensated is purple. While that's going on in the background, I wanted to get into why I decided to do this test. It's no secret that ports and compensators are very divisive in the community. However, we are still seeing them gaining traction for general use, CCW, and in competitions such as IDPA, which recently changed the rules to allow ports and compensators. Despite this, there still seems to be a misunderstanding about ports and compensators, along with a lot of incorrect information and anecdotes that are regurgitated over and over again. At a minimum, I hope that this video shows that they are value added at the end of the day, and hopefully it is another data point that you're able to reference. With that out of the way, hopefully you were able to catch that the ported barrel offered us an immediate decrease in muzzle flip and muzzle rise. With the compensator, you will see a further reduction in muzzle flip and muzzle rise. But one of the things that does not translate from the video is just how much softer shooting the compensated Glock 19 was. The impulse was a lot more muted, even when compared to the ported barrel. Up next is the Staccato P Heritage, which features a 4.15-inch barrel. We will be seeing it compared to a Staccato XC for the compensated counterpart. Here we're getting into the Staccato XC, which coincidentally actually has the same slide length as the Heritage that we just saw. The Staccato XC is said to have a 5-inch barrel, but in reality it has a 4.15-inch barrel, and the integrated compensator makes up the remaining length of that 5-inch barrel. As we saw with the Glock 19, the muzzle flip, muzzle rise, and that recoil impulse is further decreased. Now we are getting into our Glock 34. We're starting off with an OEM barrel, and it will be followed by a ported barrel. Unfortunately, we do not have a compensated barrel for a 34 to compare to. While that's running in the background, I want to give some context into my experience with these types of firearms. Currently, in IDPA, I'm a carry optics master. At various points, I have used a Glock 19, Glock 17, Glock 34, and my Staccato XC, all of which have either been compensated or ported. As we are getting into the ported Glock 34, I want to make note that we are still seeing a reduction in muzzle flip and muzzle rise compared to the OEM barrel, but we do not see that same softer impulse as we saw with the compensated Glock 19 and the Staccato XC. Up next is a Glock 17 with an OEM barrel. Unfortunately, it has no rear iron sights, but it was the only Glock 17 available to us that didn't have a compensator semi-permanently affixed to it. Huge shout out to my buddy Rigged Tactical for providing some of the guns along with some of the barrels and compensators for us to test out. Our last gun for the day is a compensated Glock 17. I often hear that 9mm handguns do not benefit from ports or comps because the cartridge does not produce enough gas or energy to properly work a compensator. I am also convinced that the people that don't see the benefits either have never shot on the clock or are FUDs that have never shot anything faster than 1 round per second. In order to see any type of gains, there needs to be a solid foundation of sound fundamentals in order to be able to extrapolate the benefits that you get. I treat them as something that enhances the shooting experience. Because at the end of the day, you can't outrun physics. And whether it's ports or a comp, they are both redirecting gases opposite of the muzzle, therefore positively affecting the recoil characteristics. On screen, you should be seeing the results from our testing. In my opinion, both ports and compensators provided a clear advantage over the OEM barrel. But I did find that the compensator provided a greater advantage as compared to the ports. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and stick around. This video has been an absolute monster in terms of editing and everything it took to get it across the finish line. I'd love to see everybody's comments on the subject, and please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments below. Please consider subscribing and following Jeremy 2 Taps on Instagram and TikTok.